Former President Donald Trump went from wanting an all-out ban of TikTok here in the United States to now suddenly being against banning TikTok, something that we have talked about and we have provided some coverage of. But now he's also pointing fingers at President Joe Biden for a potential ban of TikTok here in the States. In a Truth Social post, he wrote, "Just so everyone knows, especially the young people, crooked Joe Biden is responsible for banning TikTok. He is the one pushing it to close and doing it to help his friends over at Facebook become richer and more dominant and able to continue to fight, perhaps illegally, the Republican Party. It's called election interference. Young people and lots of others must remember this on November 5th, Election Day, when they vote. They also must remember, more importantly, that he is destroying our country and is a major threat to democracy." Now, the motivating factor behind Trump's statement, aside from the electoralism, is the fact that one of his biggest donors is actually heavily invested in TikTok. So Trump knows his role here, which is to be against a ban of TikTok here in the United States. But there's more. So in fact, just today we found out that Meta Platforms and its subsidiaries spent a record $7.6 million on lobbying the federal government in the first quarter of the year as the US Congress advanced legislation that could ban Instagram's chief competitor, meaning TikTok. Meta's recent disclosure does not mention the TikTok ban issue directly, writes Sludge, but it says that the company lobbied Congress and the White House on homeland security topics, including discussions regarding cybersecurity, data security, encryption, platform integrity, election integrity, content policy, and terrorism, as well as issues related to voter suppression / interference, political ads, and misinformation policies. And look, it's not really hard to read in between the lines if you ask me. There seems to be a proxy war taking place as it pertains to TikTok. And by the way, 2 years ago, Taylor Lorenz over at the Washington Post had published a piece about how Facebook was working real hard through their lobbying to squash TikTok, placing op-eds and letters to the editor and major regional news outlets, promoting dubious stories about alleged TikTok trends that actually originated on Facebook, and pushing to draw political reporters and local politicians into helping take down its biggest competitor. Employees with Targeted Victory worked overtime or worked to undermine TikTok through a nationwide media and lobbying campaign, portraying the fast-growing app as a danger to American children and society, according to internal emails shared with the Washington Post. So this was all a Meta campaign 2 years ago to essentially squash TikTok. One of the directors of the firm wrote in a February 2022 email that Targeted Victory needs to get the message out that while Meta is the current punching bag, TikTok is the real threat, especially as a foreign-owned app that is #1 in sharing data that young teens are using. And as we talked about earlier, Jeffrey Yass is one of Trump's donors who is heavily invested in TikTok. And so that could really explain Trump's flip-flop or 180 on the issue. Cenk.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you. So I think this is a super interesting story for a number of reasons. First is how politics actually works. Nobody actually says what they mean. So Donald Trump before wants to ban TikTok, probably because of donors back then, right? Or they told him that it's a liberal thing and he was against it because of that, etc. Then a donor comes in and says, "Shut up, be in favor of TikTok, here's money." He's like, "Yes, sir, of course, sir." So what happened, Mr. Big Time Populist? No, he's just another corrupt politician like everybody else. Now, you know we're the fairest show in America. So Biden, on the other hand, is like, "Hey, I'm on TikTok now and I'm making jokes. Hey kids, aren't I so cool?" And he's like, "Oh, when that bill passes the Senate, because it already passed the House, banning TikTok, I'm gonna sign it, I'm gonna ban TikTok." What happened? I thought you were one of the cool kids. Nonsense. This is all about money. And there's two things that are related to money. One is what Facebook is doing that Anna told you about. And God, that part is amazing. And then the second part is about the guys who actually want to buy TikTok and that they're driving, in my opinion, are actually the most important driving force in this whole story. In terms of Facebook versus TikTok stuff, man, that's some nice cloak and dagger stuff, right? They hired a Republican PR firm, but the Republican firm then somehow got elected Democrats, local elected Democrats, to write letters to the editor or op-eds against TikTok, actually written by the lobbyists.
Yes, so that's Targeted Victory. That is the firm that was hired by Meta to push out all this messaging against TikTok.
Yeah, and so they would take, it's so devious. They would take it literally, because one of the memes they said was so dangerous and started on TikTok was called Devious Licks, okay? And it was like some sort of thing to get people to do something stupid, right? Young people to do something. Turns out it started on Facebook.
Oh my God.
And Facebook knows that. And they're like, why don't we take the stuff that started on Facebook and pretend TikTok started it, okay? And the lobbyists even say bonus points if you can flip a Facebook problem into a TikTok problem, okay? And another thing that started as a rumor on Facebook was slapping a teacher. Never happened on TikTok, okay? It was a Facebook rumor and then they blamed it on TikTok. It is unbelievable. But I wanna read you my favorite quote from the lobbyists. This is from the Washington Post story. Dream would be to get stories with headlines like, from dances to danger, how TikTok has become the most harmful social media space for kids. From dances to danger. That is hilarious, okay? So Facebook has spent $7.6 million in just the first 3 months of this year doing all the lobbying that Anna just described, including against TikTok. So, and they're right, bonus points for not only do I get everybody off my back, and notice now nobody's talking about Facebook. You grease enough politicians, all of a sudden ban TikTok. And the bonus points are take out my competitor. But guys, this is exactly what drug companies do, right? They create monopolies to take out their competitors and they fund the politicians even more. But Facebook now among the top 10 donors to politicians. This kind of legalized bribery is how this game is played. And finally, so who are the real forces behind this? TikTok is actually owned 20% by the original founders who are Chinese citizens, but not the Chinese government. In fact, did you know when TikTok first came out, China banned it? Isn't that interesting? Okay, number two, 20% is owned by the employees and 60% is owned by finance companies that are multinational, but mainly in America. 3 of the 5 board members are Americans. So all this thing about like China owns it, not really, okay? The 20% does have controlling votes on TikTok, so it's not like it's nothing, right? It is real in that sense. But the private equity guys here in America know that it is devalued because of all this talk about the ban and the political pressure that are being put on it. The minute it is sold to American private equity companies, it will go up approximately 25% in value. So that is, and it's worth at least $100 billion. So that is a $25 billion payday for anyone who could use enough political leverage to make them sell it to them. And then you use Biden and Trump in whichever ways you want, because those are just chess pieces. The real people in charge are the donors. And that's how this game is played.
All right, Cenk, you want to read some comments?
No, we can do the sugar.
No, we can't.
No.
I'm not going to rush through a story I love.
Okay,
so
fine.
yeah, I'm going to do the story justice tomorrow, not rush through it.
By the way, speaking of tomorrow, guys, after the show on Wednesdays, after the bonus episode, check out my town hall. You can see it on all of our social media. We'll give you notices for the town hall because a lot of folks come there and we strategize about Operation Hope, which is different than Operation Joy. Operation Hope is about bringing a little bit of hope into the world. So we're working on a bunch of projects, including building up a anti-Trump website with the most devastating facts in order that we think is rational, not the mainstream media's version of it. It's thinking of doing some things about Gaza as well. So come check out the town hall when you can, Wednesdays after the show. Today after the show, we have Operation Joy, and that is our members and us talking about how to be happy while we're trying to make the world a better place. And gave a homework assignment last week, saying, tell me something that you love about yourself. I know it's a little awkward, but this is how we get to a situation where we're a little bit happier and a little bit happier until we get to an even great place, I hope. So we're gonna do that today. So good day to join as a member. Hit the join button below or tyt.com/team. Okay, so now let me do some member comments. Monica wrote in, hi TYT fam. Rarely watch live anymore, but I miss you guys. Proud to be a member since 2017, watching since 2016 during Bernie's campaign. Don't know how I'd have survived the last 7 years. I think that a lot of people say, thank you, Monica, and a lot of people say that because mainstream media and mainstream politics gaslights you so much that when you hear something that's true, you're like, oh, thank God, I thought I was the crazy one. They kept saying I'm crazy when I'm saying the most obvious things in the world. So all we're doing is telling you, yeah, you're right. Okay, you're not crazy. Money definitely affects the politicians and a million other obvious things the mainstream media keeps away from you. Another good reason to be a member, and thank you for keeping us on business in that way. All right, Cat Rose 1994 says, pulling weeds in my veggie garden, jamming to TYT. I adopted is it Corgi or Corgi? Corgi, right?
Yeah.
Corgi puppy for my birthday. She's a fan of TYT too. Life is good. #Team Joy. And they put in a cutie picture of the dog in the garden. So that's awesome. All right, on Super Chat, Dawn Whitehead said, I say Congress is the biggest circus in the world. All the clowns are there. That's true. Storm Herald 13 said, my teenager calls Congress the big American nursing home, and she's not wrong. That's also true. History Speaks writes in with a little bit of history. This one's on Ukraine. He said, pushback on Ukraine. Number one, Russian annexations disprove claims that this was just about NATO. Number two, how would we feel if foreigners conquered part of USA? Number three, negotiation is necessary, but most effective form is a position of strength, i.e. an armed Ukraine. Brother, I don't really disagree with any of that. So it's not really a disagreement. The question is, how much money do we send and how long do we send it? And can we push them towards a peace treaty if that peace treaty is acceptable? And we had one where we had leverage when Ukraine was actually pushing back the Russian military, but the West, America and Britain prevented Ukraine from signing it. And that was a giant problem. And we're part of the problem because we don't want the war to end. We want Russia to get depleted.
Don't say we, like we want the war to end. Our government does not, because it's weakening Russia in their minds.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.